Well, hello there. This is Patrick here, and today is September 8th, and it is the fourth day of the 10 days of my personal celebration, and this is the third part in the 8-part series of Remembering the Solid Road. Today, a year ago, it would have been Wednesday, the 8th. It was now, I've already set up the meeting with the leadership. I just had my gathering with the young adults, and I shared with them exactly what I meant by the Southern Baptist infomercial. And Wednesday rolled around, and two big things happened that Wednesday. First off, earlier I had school, and we went to chapel, well, the one you see right here behind me. We had chapel, and I remember going into the chapel service. And at this time now, I'm starting to have a heavy burden. We went into the chapel, and we were doing the worship. We were singing songs, and I don't know how it happened, but all I can remember is that I was down on my knees, on my face. I was praying because I knew that the next day, which I will be meeting with the leadership, was going to be a challenge. It was going to be a tough time. So I remember being down on my face, praying. And sometimes the Spirit just stirs in you. And if I were to put it into words, exactly what I was feeling, so to speak, what was being moved inside me, the words would come out to be, the plans I have for you are greater than the plans that New Hope can give you. When I heard those words, I don't know why, but I started to break down. I began to cry. And I'm the kind of guy who I have this persona, so to speak, of having it all together. I have a rough exterior. I come off as a tough guy. A few times, people come to me and say, "Why are you always mad?" Or "You always look mad," or "You walk like a bull." So I have this demeanor sometimes of having it all together, strong and confident. But at that point, I broke down. Because I knew that when I heard that, I knew that I was done. I knew that it was over for me. It was as if the Spirit was ministering to me, preparing me for the next day, preparing me for the meeting. So the day went on. I went to class as normal. But throughout the whole day, I had this thought going on in the back of my mind. What am I going to tell the youth? What am I going to say to the youth? Because youth group was that night also. So I did not prepare a lesson. And I remember driving up to the church for youth group. And I parked right where I always parked, in the red zone, right next to the front door. And as I drove up, I saw the youth. They were waiting outside. They were waiting for me to unlock the door. And they were just doing their normal things. They had no idea what was going to happen. They had no idea what was going on. They were jumping around, they're messing around, they're skateboarding, they're just doing what they would normally do on a Wednesday night before I got there. And every time when they would be waiting outside and I would arrive, they would run up to my car and they would meet me while I'm still sitting in my car, and they would press up their faces against the window. At times that kind of annoyed me because they would leave, you just watch the windows and then you have people's faces and, well, you get the picture. So I got out. Well, Well, before I got out, I remember sitting there, and my heart just sunk into my stomach. I looked at these kids' faces, and I'm like, how can I possibly tell them? What can I possibly say? So I got out, kind of putting on a mask, a face, my game face, as if it was just a normal Wednesday, that nothing was going on. So then we go into the youth room, we have our social time, and then we have what would be our lesson. And I remember them all sitting around, and I stood before them and I said, I don't have any announcements today. There are no announcements. In fact, I got something pretty serious to talk to you about. So they're all there, they're listening, and the very next words that come out of my mouth are, tonight may very well be the last night that I am with you. I can't go into all the details, but tomorrow I have a meeting with the leadership, and I know that something's going to happen. So I told them that, and they were just silent. They were stunned. I mean, these are kids that I have invested a little more than 3 years of my life with. These are kids who I knew since they were in the children's group, and now they are sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school. They kept pressing me for reasons on why I'm saying these things. And at first I didn't want to tell them. But eventually they pressed so much that I had to give them an answer. I thought they deserved at least that much. They deserved at least that much, an explanation or a reason. So I explained it was not them, that I loved them, that they were the greatest thing to ever happen to me. But because of an opinion, I was going to be torn away. And I just remember we just kind of sat there for a moment, and we didn't really talk too much about that afterward. My last words to them were, whatever does happen, do not rise up in anger against the leadership. And then they started yelling, "Oh, we're going to go where you go. We will go where you go. Just let us know where you will be, and we will go with you." Though that touched my heart, I knew that wasn't going to be the reality. At least not immediately. Because as youth, their responsibility is to their parents. And if their parents desire them to go there, then that's where they're going to go. One thing that I thought was very interesting that night was there were a few individuals from the young adult group at that youth gathering. And these young adults were there with me at the very start of my ministry. They were there right at the beginning. My first day I came in, they were there. They were volunteers. They were helping me out. Then they stepped out. For life just gets it. Life just gets the hold of you sometimes. But I just find it it just sparks my interest to figure out what is Yahweh doing. He works in patterns. That's how I figure out what he's doing. He works in patterns. I'm never trying to guess what he's doing. I never try to guess. Because he has left his fingerprint in not only my story, but He's left His fingerprints here. He has left His testimony here on the earth. And we as children of light need to look at that testimony, that evidence which He has left here on the earth. We need to stop guessing what He's doing. But those young adults were there at the beginning of my ministry, and they were there at the end. So we closed up the gathering, or at least the teaching time, and we just socialized. I'm like, this is my last time here with them. I want to have a good time. I want to do what we always do. I want to. So I spent the rest of the night just laughing and enjoying their company, watching them do their funny stunts, doing their funny jokes. I wanted my last memory in that youth room. That was the last time I was in that youth room until I had to move my stuff out. But I wanted my last memory to be one that was happy, to be one that was full of laughter. So then I went home and I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about their faces. I began to think about what's going to happen with them. Because by their words, they've told me that they follow Christ because they have seen Christ in me. And I know I've done my job. When I heard that, I knew that I did my job. Because when I first entered the youth ministry at New Hope, I prayed, and what is it you want me to do? And if I can put it into words, it was as if the Spirit was saying, reveal me, Yahweh, to these kids in the same way that I revealed myself to you. And I did. And I think, so my time was done there. And there are now youth who I've not seen since then. And there are still youth who I see on a regular basis. So, I couldn't get to sleep. And that really concludes this day. And then tomorrow, which is the 9th, is the day in which which was the day which ushered in the season I called the bump in the road. The bump in the solid road. The bump in my journey of faith. Because in the next couple days, things get really heated. I mentioned that I got a lot of heat for just saying this stuff to the young adults. When they found out that I said this to the youth, well, let's just say what was heated became a wildfire. It became a wildfire. And you will find out more about that in the next episode. So I will see you on episode 4 tomorrow, September 9th, when the bump in the road begins.